Okay, really quick. And also important to realize that art is subjective. And so sometimes things hit, sometimes things miss. My non spoiler thoughts is that this book, A Time of Blood, was a major miss for me. Major miss for me for a number of reasons. I will go into some spoilers later, but here are my thoughts. Now, unrelated a little bit to why I disliked the book, I was going to do the audiobook of this one, and I changed my mind after about 50 pages. He does something that I can't stand, and it's maybe my biggest pet peeve. It's when narrators, when it's a part where they are projecting, or the person in the book is projecting, doing a big speech or yelling in the middle of a battle. It almost sounds like they're trying to not wake the baby in the other room, or even in the same room. Where it's the thing where they go, "Come on, let's go," instead of just projecting and changing the audio levels to sound good. One of the reasons I liked Malazan, I did some audiobook with I think the Bone Hunters, and the person would still project, and it just bothered me to no end. So if that would bother you, stay away from the audiobook with this series, because I can't stand hearing this. You're getting into this massive battle, and then everyone's going, "Okay, look out! I'm gonna get you." Better writing than that, but it still gets on my nerves. Now, it was a massive miss for me, and this trilogy has been a massive miss in some ways. The first book was setting up so many interesting things. And right at the end, like, it had all this tension and mystery and darkness. And then it started to kind of stumble at the end there. And I thought, well, in book two, he'll kind of clarify. And, that's just a red herring. And nope, he's leaning into it. Now, I want to go into some spoiler stuff so I can kind of say what I mean there. Has to do with Fritha and Gunnel and Urd and all those, I thought they were the worst antagonists I've seen in almost any book ever. I was so disappointed with Gunnel, but disappointed with Fritha the most, that she just wasn't a believable antagonist. They gave her some motivations, but she was just really over the top in a way that didn't really land for me. And so that made it so the rest of this book really went nowhere. And I thought, there is time to maybe retcon some of that, or kind of clarify some things for book three. But I think I know where he's going with. I think I've been, unless I'm just going to get this big twist in the end. But I don't like what he did with Fritha, and Morn is terrible. And I didn't like. I just didn't like it. The pacing, I dislike the pacing. So much action, 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 action. And it's the same sort of stuff where if it was a movie, like, sure, it would look good, but I loved Drem and Olin in the first book, talking, getting to know each other, relationships. And this one is just so much action, and it just isn't for me. And I feel like sometimes in fantasy books, this is where it loses me. Where in historical fiction, sometimes it seems like there's a better pacing up and down. Sometimes fantasy goes a little heavy on the action and it loses me. And so that's why I'm maybe not a pure fantasy reader, and especially maybe not an epic fantasy reader. I prefer something a little bit more personal with these books. And man, this second book of this second trilogy just has totally lost me. The Catashim I thought were boring. It was almost like we got too much of them and they weren't realized in an interesting way. Riv, I have this dislike for when people start flying. Kind of cliched writing. And I hate to do this because like I want to write and I want people to like my stuff, and I really like John Gwynne still, but it makes me wonder about the rest of his books. The cliched writing, like how many times will he say, "I heard a scream," and before long, I heard the scream, not realizing that it was mine. That kind of thing. I think I've heard that like 5 times in this series, and I think he keeps kind of doing this, and that's just a line I dislike anyway. That people kind of do a lot. Um, I feel like too much was lifted from the original series in a worse way, such as the drag egg and things like that. The talking drag was weird, and the half worm, half daughter girl just lost me. Just didn't enjoy it. I don't know if I'm going to continue on. I have the last book, and it would be the last book of this 7-book series, so I should finish it. But man, what a sour taste in my mouth this book gave me. I just feel like, especially the antagonists, I'm not interested. Just not interested. I mean, if Michael unfreezes and does some cool stuff, and Astaroth is, if it has to do with that, then sure. But I am not interested in Fritha and Morn, and I don't have to worry about Gunnel and stuff. But like, holy smokes, yeah, what a miss. What a miss, and I'm disappointed by that because everyone loves it. It seems like everyone. I liked the book right before this, A Time for Dread, a million times more than A Time of Blood, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just salty, but it was just a big mess. So, talk to you soon.